What we're talking about today is how do we make sure that our infectious disease protocols, that our cleaning protocols have been followed in the ambulance hall, in the fire hall, at the police station, in the ambulance, in the squad car, in the fire truck. How do we make sure that the job has been done right? When I come in for a shift, how do I know that the last shift has properly cleaned? What I hope comes out of this today is a knowledge, an awareness that's similar to that of Mr. Ron Murray. Ron Murray, you might remember back in 2014, was minding his own business and drinking a cup of coffee. It was just a simple cup like you'd get at any Starbucks or McDonald's with a little white cover. As Mr. Murray drank his coffee and got to the final sip and tipped the cup back, he felt something thud against the lid of the cup. Opening the cup, as you can see on the screen, was a dead mouse inside of his coffee cup. Think about this for a minute. Do you think that Mr. Murray drinks his coffee the same now as he did before the incident that occurred in 2014? I can guarantee you that he doesn't. In fact, I know for a fact, because I researched a little and found out that Mr. Murray will not drink out of a glass that isn't glass. He won't drink out of a coffee cup that has a lid on it. The man learned the lesson from what happened to him. What I hope happens here today is that you walk away thinking different and doing things different because of something that you've seen or something that you've learned. Every EMS agency, every fire department, every police department, they have protocols for cleaning. We all know what they are. Many of us have been in this industry for over 3 decades. I know how to clean an ambulance. I know how to clean the fire hall. We have the rookie clean the restroom, and we know that it's clean because we look at it and it's sparkling. The issue is that plan has to include a way of testing to make sure that it's been cleaned, to make sure that that last guy did his job. Not all EMTs are created equal. Every one of you knows someone on your department, someone that you've worked with, that you don't necessarily believe has stayed up until 5 a.m. cleaning after getting back from a run at 3:30 in the morning. Some of us are driven, some of us are passionate, but not all of us pay close attention to detail. The problem is, the weakest link is the one that's going to cause the problem. Not all calls are the same. As you can see on the screen, the call on the left, maybe we're just going to wipe the ambulance down. Why not? After all, it was just a kid that turned out to have a cold. Of course, we're all going to spend 2 hours cleaning the ambulance in the call on the right. The issue here is we should clean the ambulance the same after both calls, because both calls hold threats, and perhaps the one on the left holds more threats than we actually know. So how do you know when you've done it right? How do you know when someone else has followed the protocol and paid attention to detail before you jump in? When I'm talking about the forensic light that Foxfury has created, I don't need for you to know everything that David Caruso knows on CSI. You don't have to be a scientist and be able to look and run the math and run the science to know what you're seeing. The way that I use these lights is to tell me something's there that shouldn't be there. I often tell people during trainings, I have several daughters. I don't need to know the name of the boy. I just know that he doesn't belong in her room. That's how we're going to use these lights. It's not about utilizing forensic lighting to know what it is or if I could have gotten sick or, oh my God, do I need to get tested? It's very simple, the use of these lights in this scenario. It's for inspecting, double checking, training, and protecting you. This photograph shows an EMT cleaning his ambulance after a call. You'll notice that he's spot cleaning. He's spraying the cleaner directly on what he can see with his eyes. However, I can tell you, and you know in your heart looking at this photograph, that there are places that there is probably blood that he cannot see, and it's going to go uncleaned if this is how he's going to do it. With this tool that Foxfury's created, I can see bad habits. I can see negligence. I can see laziness, and sometimes I can see hidden threats. Why is this important? Well, the EMT in this photograph thought that his EMT building was clean. He thought that his ambulance was clean. He thought that the restroom was clean in the building where he worked. He was quite shocked to find out that in actuality, it was not. And the blue light actually revealed that to us. But think about this for a moment. Many of us around the country are volunteers. And what happens is we wear those home. So whatever that is going home with me. Again, I don't need to know his name. I just know he doesn't belong there. Whatever that is fluorescing under that blue light, I know I don't want to bring home to my children. So how well have we been cleaning? How well have we been paying attention to detail? When you look at the photograph on the left, this looks like a really clean ambulance. It's sparkling actually. But the issue is right here. When I use the light, I can see that whoever cleaned this must have had very large hands and couldn't get them back behind that seat belt. So this area right here has obviously been neglected for a very long time. There's a difference between I've detailed the vehicle and I paid attention to detail. If you look at the picture on the left, it looks like any other piece of equipment in any ambulance hall. But on the right, you can see all of these areas that have not been properly cleaned. And you see the blanket down below? I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment. NOROVIRUS, one of the deadliest viruses in the United States, while common, and we hear about it on the news all the time, has a high mortality rate. A norovirus outbreak can be incredibly deadly. Norovirus can stay alive on a surface for up to 2 weeks. And yet every time I've shown this photograph in the EMS industry, I've heard comments like, oh my God, we never wash that. It's the microphone that's in all of their hands and near all of their mouths. The most recent study shows that Ebola can stay alive for up to 5 days in dried blood and 14 days in wet. A little advice when you're speccing out your new ambulance or your new fire truck, take a look at how the manufacturer is paying attention to his detail. You can see in this photograph that the screws have been recessed into the stainless steel, and these brackets are actually protruding from the stainless steel. This has created 5 points just on this jump seat that has been collecting what I assume is blood, and it's been drying after it runs down underneath this stainless steel lip. Now again, do I know that that's necessarily blood? No, but the evidence of liquid being left in this ambulance for weeks, perhaps months on end, is reason to worry. MRSA, another flesh-eating and deadly virus, and incredibly common in the hospital workers, can stay alive on a mop head for up to 8 weeks. 9 weeks on a towel. And by the way, do you remember that blanket on the bottom of the gurney a couple of slides ago? It can stay alive for 203 days on a sheet. Many of us have been told that these diseases are dead instantly the minute they become exposed to the air. This isn't true. Every one of these statistics that I'm giving you is current and from the most recent of studies. Don't forget the building that you work in. Whether you come in for a shift and use this toilet or you've used it while you were at work, eventually all of this is going to end up somewhere where it doesn't belong. We all know that we wouldn't sit down and eat a sandwich in any restroom. But again, this photograph was taken where the guys were proud of how clean their building was. And look at what's been missed. And again, don't trust your eyes. Foxfury has created a very simple solution for being able to check to make sure that the job has been done properly. What are you bringing home with you? See, remember the last 2 photographs, we were near, we touched, we came in contact with. We washed our hands before we left. The sign says to do so, and we've built habits into our lives where we all do this after we use the restroom, but this is in an ambulance hall. And now, before we go out to treat another patient, we're going to grab this doorknob and push on this door. What we need to do is we need to stop the cycle. We need to learn, we need to train, and Foxfury has given us an incredible way to inspect. This may have to travel quite a ways, but eventually it will get here if we don't change the way that we're doing things. It's quite simple. Just check it.